Hello, this is Greg Allison, Green Greg's. Come to you on the third day of October 21. Time on deck, 21,300 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, our economy is about to unravel, is about to crash. And there's very many root source causes of this great unraveling. As you may know, the supply chains have broke down from international shipping to domestic shipping, factory production, what's hitting the store shelves. I mean, all you got to do is go on the store shelves and see the shortages. All you got to do is talk to people trying to get computer chips and see what's backed up in the car industry and things like that to know that there are many shortages that's causing that to unravel. But it's more than that. We have increases in cost of oil, increases in cost of natural gas, very steep increases in these things, increases in the prices of food, and it's going to get worse. And on top of that, labor shortages. And the labor shortages are about to get far worse too. And then unraveling will soon include things like mortgages not getting paid, credit card bills not getting paid, finance industry having problems. The rise in price in oil by itself is believed by sources to be a possible course for economic collapse. I'm gonna get into that, but two can't also, these people not be able to pay their mortgages that's coming up. And we're going to go into why that's the case. We're going to go into why suddenly, somewhere around the 2nd of November, thanks to certain mandates, there is going to be probably a fair spike of unemployment. In fact, my figures show me that it's going to be somewhere between 8.5 to 10 million people who are suddenly going to enter the world of not having a job. That is going to impact the economy. That, on top of all this other stuff, is just another straw on the back of the camel. So it's a pretty big straw, another log on the back of the camel. So my friends, get ready. This is part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel series to tell you that you've got to get ready. And toward the end of this video, we're going to talk about things that there's particularly expecting shortages on and why, and what you need to get now so that you can be prepared. That'll come toward the end of this video. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be some most important advice in this video. Because it's a proposition of my channel to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. So we're going to bring you the hows, the whys, and what to do's about it. Okay. In the meantime, I have a lot of videos that'll be important for you in the upcoming times as our country unravels, especially if we have an EMP or a war. Guys, it's coming at some different directions, just mind-boggling right now. So many different things are cooking and afoot. You really do have to keep your eyes wide open, head on the swivel, because it's coming from everywhere. So to help you understand that, subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all so you can get more notifications. But do check back from time to time, just in case you're not quite getting the notifications, but it does help a lot. So please subscribe, bang that notification bell, click all, and from time to time, just check back on my channel. And there's a lot of good resources in it, because I have videos on things like how to purify and sanitize water. I have some videos on bug out locations, where those the best places to live. I got for conventional and even for those big radioactive events. I have videos about how to grow a garden. When food prices and increasing and shortages come up, you really need to know that. And we're getting to the point about the only thing that, at least in our area here, that we can plant just one time is radishes and garlic. I'm gonna do a bunch of garlic planting soon. It's about the only things left on the table here that we can plant this late in the season. I may do some more radish planting. But my friends, these are troubling times, very troubling times. Yeah, if you want to get radishes, check my and stuff like that. Oh, hey, the microgreens year round. I've got videos and a whole playlist for microgreens. And I didn't play a lot of videos on it because some people got tired of me posting stuff at one time, but we'll put out some more on that because I'm doing a lot of microgreens stuff. And I had a lot of videos I never posted. So I was supposed to didn't like that stuff back in the day. But hey, you need to pay attention because you're going to need some fresh vegetables. Also, I got videos, lots of videos about how to eat free from the weeds and the trees. That's a deal you can't beat. But it may not quite give you all the proteins and starches you need. And my friends, you can't get a better deal on food than to go to prepwithgreg.com. At prepwithgreg.com, you can get $100 off a 3-month supply of food that lasts 25 years at quality and much longer. You get 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That makes you a winner. You also get some drinks and desserts, and it's real food. This is freeze-dried stuff. So it actually reconstitutes just like it was before. And the cool thing about it being freeze-dried, it's lightweight. And this is a 2-week supply. So the 3-month supply is 6 of these nice buckets, and they're easy to carry, easy to store. Unlike the nearest competitors, which shove them across the threshold, this is easy to carry, and the kids can carry it. And the coolest thing about it is it comes in nice packages. Some of those packages are huge, and some of those other supplies. These are just the right size, about 4 servings, easy to put in your knapsack, your backpack if you're bugging out on a hike, kind of bug out. So, guys, it's good for storage in all kind of ways. You can stack them up easy. That's the cool thing about it. You don't have shelves, you can just stack these buckets on it if you want to. Just depends on how you want to rotate. And you go in, that's at prepwithgreg.com. And check click on that My Patriot Supply logo on prepwithgreg.com, and it'll take you into all kind of other supplies. I mean, they have simply the best selection of long-term food storage of any, bar none, including gluten-free, protein, vegan, whatever you want. Also, you can get the number 10 cans. I love those. May not be as easy for a bug. Yeah, for a bug in, they're great. And also, you can get other prepping supplies, filter and water, and then just tons of air and tons of other stuff. Enough said about all that. So what's cooking? What's going on with this economy? What is really shaking and baking? Well, for one, there's projections that petroleum will go to $100 a barrel. That's a pretty easy projection since it's already hit 80. Some people are projecting it's going to go as high, maybe, as $200 a barrel. And the people projecting $100 a barrel are predicting economic crash, economic dire consequences just for hitting $100 a barrel. You said $200 a barrel? Come on. But see, here's the thing. Natural gas is already hitting the equivalent of $190 a gallon. That is, it sells by cubic feet, but the equivalent of that. That's high. It's gone up quite a bit. What you might not realize is natural gas is the basis for most of our chemical fertilizers used in the United States. So that also translates to food prices are going to be up next year because the root source that we use to grow food, the fuel to run the tractors going back and forth so much, and for fertilizer, they're going up, up, up. And you can bet all the other stuff they spray on the crops is going up, 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 up. That's not stuff you want to eat. No way. It's when you want to grow your own garden, for Pete's sake. Watch my videos on growing garden. Go to Trade Market and buy your seeds. Get ready for the spring. You know what? I get started up on the spring seeds too, because guys, Chipmunks, spring seeds, they might be short in supply because everybody's gonna be waking up to it, and the supply chain's breaking down. The post office is slowing down. Okay, there's articles on that too. So we can look at it. What's its root drivers, root causes of the economic? I'm going to show you some articles on this stuff, some articles and some of these things, and some of them we're just going to talk through. Because we know the supply chain is just totally unraveling. It's getting worse. The ships are backing up at the ports, and they're backing up more and more. There's up to 4-week delays on these cargo ships now. Once they get to the port, never mind the time that goes across port. And cargo ships used to cost like $2,000 to transport. What we call a 20-foot equivalent. That's the 20-foot long ISO shipping container. And it used to cost you about $2,000 to go from China into the United States. Now it's over $20,000. Going up. Shipping costs are going up. Sitting out there all that time at the side, they still got to pay the crews to sit in the ship. They still got that ship can't just float and they anchor it, but still they're still consuming fuel on that ship. And so that cost is going up. It's up, 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 and other things are probably driving that cost up too. So hard to find labor, higher labor wages been paid. I don't know what all is going on, the factors are, but the price has gone up considerably. It's 10 times, over 10 times what it was before the bug hit. That is outstanding, or really atrocious. So when you look at these kind of things, it's pretty bad, pretty bad. But let's think about this. What happened in 2008? In 2008, that big economic crash, what was that precipitated by? It was precipitated by basically the fact that a lot of people owed more money on their house than they could sell it for. You know, the inflation had increased the price of houses. There was a housing bubble. People bought big houses, and suddenly they found they couldn't sell them. These people got a little economic tight, or they needed to move. They couldn't sell the house. So a lot of people just walked off from their mortgages. That said that when the value of the home was less than the mortgage owed on it, they said it was underwater. And a lot of people just walked off from those mortgages. Walking off from those underwater mortgages is what precipitated the economic crash in 2008, or so they tell us. Instead of the bank bailing out the people with the mortgages, they turned around and bailed out the banks. And go figure that, right? Don't help the little guy who's the one really in trouble. The root source where things could be taken care of. No, they help the big guy. You know that was atrocious, but that's what happened. In spite of the fact that switchboards to Washington D.C. running off there's one time the Congress voted absolutely against what the people recommended. Makes you wonder. Yeah, who's really in charge? So the banks seem to get their way. The point. What they just can't. Yeah, it said not too big to or too big to fail. That's not true. We're gonna find that even the banks will fail one day. I'm imagining. But okay, so here's what we're going to look at, guys. The number of people that actually walked off on those mortgages. I don't know the exact number. What I do know is that 10 million homes or mortgages were lost in that period. But some of those mortgages, a good fraction of those, were lost after the 2008 crisis hit because of other economic impacts as the economy slewed. So that weren't all just people walking off from the underwater mortgages. There was other things. The economy hit a hard spot at that point, and it messed a lot of stuff up. So there's a total of 10 million homes where people just lost their mortgage. Some fraction of that was what people walked off from. The total number is 10 million. So think about this. We got a lot of people hurt right now because of jobs. The economic. They're finally cut the federal unemployment insurance, but there's just a lot of folks that's already in trouble with their finances. The economy is spiraling out of control. There's plenty of jobs out there, but your qualifications to get that job might be more than you're willing to sign up for, especially given certain executive orders. You know what I mean? Certain dates with a man in front of them. Well, in New York City, they got a jump start on that. In New York City, the medical establishment decided, you're going to have to live by the rules of the date with a man in front of you. I'm talking in code. And people that weren't willing to step up and follow the procedure got fired. Now, the polls say that over 20% say they'll refuse it, irregardless, no matter what. So I don't know if that's going to hold. The figure some of them will capitulate in the end. People have their mortgages, their homes, their whole lives in front of them. They just don't know what to do economically. That's a tough spot, real tough. Well, 8%, roughly, they fired about 8% of the workers, 8%. That leaves a big hole in the organization, by the way, big hole in an organization. What's that mean? That means that organization is less effective, leading to further exacerbating the labor shortage. We just hire new people. Some of these others laid off, put them in. It takes a lot of time to train people. And the more specialized the field is, the longer it takes. The average learning curve on a job, the average job is 6 months. You take a job that requires high training and specialization, like being a nurse in certain applications, being an engineer, other federal contractors, federal civil servants. All those jobs are jobs that require years to really come up to speed. Years. Just don't walk in and perform at the level of somebody else that just sent out the door. Just don't work that way. So there's several. So let me go through the numbers. How many people are we talking about? So there's several economic impacts on this, and we're talking about organizations getting less effective, the supply chain unraveling even more, which throws you into deeper into an economic abyss. But on top of that, let's have a look at. So let's think, okay, how many workers are there at risk? Well, what we know is that the number of people working here in the United States, and see, this is all over the world, so you can figure similar proportional things for any country. But the number of people working here in the United States is about 147 million people total working. How many percentage of those would be under the terms of the executive order? Well, I took a rough stab at that. And what I found was that there was 9.1 million federal workers. I didn't look at how many people work in the states, because some states will, like New York, will say, yeah, you got to do this. And some states, like Alabama, go, meh. So it's different, but it will be a higher number than what I'm going to show you below because of the difference. I didn't calculate the difference in states. So there's that difference that will bump this number up. So 147 million unemployed, 9.1 million, or 6% of the people employed in this country are employed by the federal government. Wow. Walmart, the biggest employer in the United States, only does 1.5 million people. Hey, so the federal government's much bigger than that. Wow. So we'll figure that. Okay. So large corporations have about 39.2% of the workforce. Medium corporations, which is like corporations between 100 and I think 1,000 employees, have 26.5% of the workforce. So we're going to count these companies that's above 100. Now, by the way, the under 100 is more like 34.3%, which used to be roughly 39%. But the small guys are getting squeezed out of business, guys. And ever since 2008, and the trends are growing, especially since the bug hit. In fact, I think the small workforce used to be even over half at one time. So that just tells you how our economy is shifting, and it's been shifted toward more control. And they're trying to, they like to see it going. Some people like to see it going more in that direction. So assume, we've talked about that before. But anyway, so we're just talking math. We're just talking numbers, and I'm not getting into theory here. That's just wild speculation. You know what I mean? But so if you take the 39.2% from large corporations, you take the 26.5% from medium-sized corporations, and you add in the 6.1% from the government, you get 71.7%. Now, if you multiply that times 147 million, you get 105.4 million people. So if you take 8%, that's people at risk. You probably are going to say, bye-bye, me no be here no more. Or they'll get booted out the door. That is 8.4 million people. Read my lips. 8.4 million people. That's not to say everyone's going to lose their house. But we already got a lot of people that aren't in that number who are on the verge of losing their house. How many did it take to really precipitate the 2008 catastrophe? It's 10 million was the total number of mortgages lost. But what started that? But see, it's not just 8.4. You got to add back in those states who are going to tell people to go bye-bye if they don't agree to their terms. So what's that mean? And I'm not waiting for, look, let's talk about this stuff on this platform. This platform, belongs to a company, so I'll abide by the rules. But guys, so what we're talking about here is just the numbers with respect to employment. We're not talking about the merits of doing it or not doing it, okay? Some of you know where I'm going, but anyway, so you have to add to that 8.4 million. What's going to be the number? 9 million? Upwards of 10 million, maybe. I'd say 9 million. It's probably a good round number for the people who will eventually be told they got to do it and will say, and may wind up saying bye-bye. And by itself, that might not be such a big economic hit. But when you pile it on top of everything else happening to our economy, that's going to be catastrophic in my opinion. I think that is really going to cause a lot of things. One, it's going to further cause problems with supply chains, but two, it's going to cause and employment in other places. I mean, companies can't work when they can't get the parts to run their factories. That's going to, you'll obviously a lot of factory shutdowns. So there's a lot of things that could greatly increase the number of people who just can't make it. It increases in inflation. Inflation is picking up. That's going to put a lot of people in bind. So I would say there's a good chance that there's going to be as many, if not more, mortgages at risk now than there was in 2008. When you add that to all the other problems, some which individually are claimed by various analysts to be in problems that cause an economic catastrophe, it looks like a perfect storm for an economic catastrophe. So it doesn't look good, my friends. It does not look good at all. Okay, let's share some articles here. Let's kind of look at what some of these things about it. Ding, ding, ding. Make sure I got this stuff open. Second, guys. One momentum, please. As our good friend Willie Thomas used to say, no one in Martin's left hand. Y'all remember? I say it all the time. Did you ever connect that? All right. I finally had to tell somebody where I got the video at. Oh, it was my favorite show, and they never got it. So what was it? When I say I'm doing a video, where am I coming from, guys? All right, here we go. Been asking y'all that. Nobody's guessed it on here. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I'm talking federal numbers here, guys. I researched these numbers. Here's the graphs. Look, employment before the bug come along was climbing up rather nicely, rather nice climbing, and then things got shut down. Boom. And they started, slowly coming back up. Well, I went too slow. It's fairly good at first, a little curve down, depressed because there's still things going on and around. It never got back up to here, guys. It has not got back up to here at all. So there's a huge gap already. There's already a huge production gap from where we were going. So we should have been, if this curve had continued straight out, it'd been up and around here by now. So this is where we need to be, where I got this cursor. You see that? We need to be up here, but we're way down here. And you got to think, all this was goods and services not delivered. It got backlogged. We were able to absorb it somewhat for a time, except we couldn't find toilet paper on shelves, as you may know. But, factories and a lot of the industrial places had some backup, some reserve to manage to keep things kind of floating along. But, when you look at the area under this curve, if it had gone out to here, that's the total impact of this, the total impulse of, this is a spike. This is a scalar number when you go straight down. But when you look at what's missing, this is production that never happened, guys. The whole area between here and this curve down here is production we lost in our economies. We lost stuff. Things aren't out there. And so we haven't caught up. As you can see, we're not even caught back up in jobs. And now this is, we're looking at this plunging down to here. With a big adjustment. So, that's just going to make things rougher. So this showed unemployment. Bing. Down a little bit, but, that's what we're talking about. There's some saying that some analysts are saying that oil could soar to $200 a barrel, guys. $200 a barrel. So some people are calling for. It's crazy, right? Because they're already saying that $100 a barrel could break our economy. I find this chart to be very, very interesting. A little bit off topic, but it's related. This is the workforce since about 1948 up till today. This is the bug. That's the biggest adjustment down we've had in the whole time since then, right? And see, it's not come back to the levels that they are. This is the average. This is just for guys, and this is the ladies. So that's how this works out. And what you see, this is percentages. That's how you've got an average percentage. This is the percentage of the workforce. So, and it's what ladies have definitely got more involved in workforce with a little dip over, since the 2008 thing. Some women, left the workforce, but only a small perturbation. Well, look what's happening here with the guys. The guys have been steady down since, the mid 1950s, maybe, maybe not, in the 1950s, it started down a little bit, But then it just kept going. To the point now, a third of the American males are not participating in the workforce. Wow. We're a different country now, guys. What does that mean? How are they getting by? How are they surviving? That's a bit scary. Third. Here it was over 30% outside the workforce. That's the 70% bar right above them. And see, it's dropped down here. So it's definitely over a third of the American males are not in the workforce. That's an interesting statistic that I wanted to show y'all. Bank of America. Energy crunch could lead to $100 oil and economic crises. You see this? Bank of America. $100 oil and economic crises. So a surge in natural gas prices, cold winter, and reopening of the international airline travel could push oil prices to $100 a barrel. And we already know that. It's already close, like I said earlier. But what they're thinking is this is enough to trigger an economic crisis. Yeah, this came out originally in Bloomberg. But let's see. One of the things they're claiming is because the natural gas is going up, people will be switching more to oil, which puts more pressure on oil, respecting, especially if international air travel starts back, that's going to put a demand on more fuel oil. So you got to remember, before the bug hit, oil prices were cheaper. Even with international air travel and business just humming, oil prices got really cheap. And what happened? Of course, oil prices plummeted more when there was less demand for it. Here's part of what to do about it. This is an article about food shortages. And to be fair, we're dealing with product shortages for a while now. They're saying it's going to get worse. So what is it ultimately that you can watch out for? What ultimately do you need to keep an eye on? Canned foods. It's not the food, it's the cans. So the aluminum prices have really shot up. And this is all stuff being produced in the factory. Like I said earlier, I went out in the field, I said, food prices are going up, but it's not because of the food itself, or at least the farmers. Even though the West Coast is really having a hard time with fruits and vegetables coming out of there. But overall, food production in this country is still very high. And it'll be the same food. But what's really killing us is the supply chain again. The supply chain. A lot of it is because of labor and other factors, but aluminum is up. And what they're saying here, so you got canned goods. If you need canned goods, go get them now. Don't wait and be the toilet paper prepper. It waits the last minute. And if you do that, you ain't gonna get any toilet paper either. Besides, at Costco, some places already limited the amount of that stuff that you can buy because of the shipping issues. But also it says consider freezing meat and poultry. We're saying around the holidays, there's going to be a real shortage because these processing plants get hit by the bug, as you might know. So they're not working at full capacity. So they're expecting shortages of meats, poultry, and turkey in the holidays. So be sure you go ahead and get some and freeze it. Fresh items will be harder to come by. Here they're talking about meats mostly, but that's also true of vegetables. So also consider, hey, it's a good time to grow microgreens. Go to my Patriot Supply for that stuff, guys. So, and that was in mom.com, article mom.com. So be careful. Watch out. Keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, especially in the grocery stores. Start prepping. Prep more. But get your canned goods. Get your fresh meats and everything else. Because we don't know. There's a lot of international tension right now. One of my next articles I'll do on one of my next few videos is going to be about China and why they just put record number of aircraft around Taiwan this weekend. 72 planes in 2 days. I remember the number right. It's a record number. And so they're really pushing Taiwan and other countries. I think China, they have other pressures that might tempt them to jump now. That may be the last best chance. So I'm going to talk about the Great Fall of China. I'm going to do another name on the video, but they'll be part of the talking. They're also facing huge problems, and that will also percolate over here if we don't have a bang bang going between us, which may happen. But China is going to be maybe more inclined to do crazy things than they would have otherwise, like start a bang bang. Tensions are up there, they're up here. It's not a good place to be, guys. Not a good place to be. You got to worry about the power grid. You know, the sun's getting more active all at once. Worry about the power grid. China is testing us. You got to worry about the power grid. Iran may get into it with Israel. Have to worry about the power grid. North Korea, worry about the power grid. Yeah, a lot of stuff's cooking, guys. The power grid goes down, that is going to be unbelievably catastrophic. It ain't going to be, hey, you're okay up in your hill just because you're off the grid already. That'll help a little bit, but you're going to have more to contend with than you can imagine. I've talked about that. I'll talk about some more. If you don't get it, if you haven't seen my videos on that, you say you don't get it, I'll have to come back and talk about it some more. But I've laid it out why, you know, at the video, you know, why the grid down will be worse than you can imagine. I've seen a few videos that speak to that. Not one, but a few. I covered that quite often, my friends. Hope you understand that. It's not it's not going to be what you think. It's going to be unbelievable destruction. So let's hope that don't happen. But you know, I'm working. I'm with groups that's working to try to get our grid hardened. But we're having to fight an uphill battle, so we need all the help we can get on that. So that's what we can do. But watch my videos I've done, especially on the Command Sergeant Major Navy. He's got a website. You know, I'll link that on some of my previous videos. And you can go there and follow this course of action to help us in that area. These are things you can do to make things better. Get yourself ready too, spiritually, mentally, and what you think. That I'm gonna say. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching. I don't know if this will get up tonight. It's probably going to be more. Sometimes work post. Some people have said, "Oh, today ain't the 3rd. Today's the 4th," or something like that. Those kind of comments all the time. Well, guys, a lot of times I post my video and it says I'm checking forever. When it does, you know, it don't get posted. You know, if it's like, you know, if it's after midnight, I'm not gonna post it because the video will get 500 views total. Whereas if I posted it off on the time, I'll get at least 1,000. So, you know, I want people to see what I'm saying. You know, you need to understand what's coming on here. The first hour of the video is the most important hour. I'm already past the prime time for posting on Sunday night anyway. So my prime time for this 8 o'clock. I just don't have time to get everything together. So much research to do and other things. So it's just hard to do the production of these videos out. Anyway, my friends, I really wish everybody the best. And take care. Thank you for watching.